Come, spell weavers, reavers, rogues, and men-at-arms, and answer the call of adventure. Pick up your sword, your axe, your spellbook, your bow, your rulebook, and your dice, and join the forces of good in their eternal fight against vile monsters, conspiring min-maxers, horny bards, and blood-soaked murder hobos. Discover the treasure trove of role-playing games here on Rollin Bones. My name is Ryan Howard, and I shall be your guide. Good evening, Boneheads, and welcome back to Rollin Bones with Ryan Howard, where we are making old school young again. I'm your host and king of the Boneheads, Ryan Howard, and I'm exhausted. I'll be honest with you guys. I am still feeling the effects of North Texas RPG Convention this past weekend. I think many of you who are watching right now are in the same boat. But we're going to talk all about the fun time that we had with two guys who are very, very heavily involved with this convention every single year. You know them from their own show, Talking Crit, over on the Tenkar's Tavern channel. Say that 5 times fast. And it's of course Bad Mike Badolato, and of course the one and only Erik Tenkar. So we'll bring them on here in just a minute. But before we do, I want to remind everyone to like, share, and subscribe. If you enjoy what we're doing here on Rollin Bones, that's a great way to support us and, just get the word out that this is going on every week, every Tuesday night at 8 p.m. Central, unless it's the week I'm going to Texas. We'll be right here on YouTube and Twitter and even on Twitch. Speaking of various places you can find me, you can, of course, find me over on X and Instagram at Howard_Ryan Gregg. We are live right now on X. Thank you to those of you who are watching us on that platform. Really appreciate you supporting me on whatever platform you choose. Also, you can find me on Twitch at twitch.tv/RollinBonesRyan, and Substack is rollinbones.substack.com. You will find the link over here in chat and pinned beneath this video if you were watching after the fact. Substack is going to be the place where you can see a lot of my writing on gaming. I've got some cool ideas post North Texas that I'll be trying on Substack, and so that's really going to be a place you want to pay attention to, especially if you enjoy my thoughts on gaming. That's one of the places you should go to start looking for more stuff. And of course, I'm going to be doing a new short story. I've begun work on that short story. It will go up as a subscriber-only Substack post. So without further ado, let's go ahead and bring on the guests that you guys are here to see. We're going to talk all about our fun time that we had on at North Texas RPG Convention. So first, let's go ahead and bring on the man, the myth, the legend, Bad Mike Badolato. Welcome back to Rollin Bones.
Hey, I see my buddy Wonky is in the chat, and
yes, he is.
I know that every convention he's one of those guys I look for and hang out with, and I actually had the pleasure to run a game with his wife this time. So welcome, Ryan. I should say welcome. I'm used to talking. So I'm going to have to get used to the fact that I'm on your show, Erik and I on your show, and you're not on our show. Even though I would like to ask you a lot of questions about the con, so we're gonna go. Hopefully, go back and forth a little bit because you got to play in games, Erik got to play in games, I got to run one game, so I'm really interested in how you guys did the con.
Yeah, absolutely. We will get into that here in just a second, but of course, we also want to bring on our third man this evening. You can find him over at Tenkar's Tavern on YouTube. You all know him and love him, the bartender of the OSR, Mr. Erik Tenkar.
Hey, folks, how are you? Mike, you look very familiar.
And did you notice how professional Ryan's intro is? Like, it has graphics and music and all this stuff, and we just flip the switch on. We're like, "Yo, what's up?" And we just in the middle of a conversation. Yeah,
it's just the show. I call this quasi professionals. I got to really stress that quasi aspect.
Mm-hmm.
That's really what it comes down to.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if you watch our show, it's really just kind of like you walk into a room and there's already a conversation going on with two gamer guys, and you just boom, you're in the middle of that conversation because we start in media res, so we're just like we're already talking about something. And of course, well, we're late all the time, and that also threw me the fact that you're on time, Ryan. That's really really weird for us.
Mike, you're giving away our secrets, man. You're giving away our secrets.
It's our flaw. I don't know if our secrets flaws, not secrets, but yeah.
It's how the sausage is made. Don't.
And speaking of the wonky here, he has a message here for you, Bad Mike. He says that Samantha told him, Samantha is the wonky's wife. Those of you who don't know that Bad Mike is one of the top DMs she's ever tossed dice with, on par with Steve Winter, Tom Wilson, Bill Barsh, etc.
Okay, I want to say something. First of all, I do think so. I've been running games since 1978. I do think you pick up a little something eventually when you do that. But I'm going to tell you right now, and I told Keelan this too. I don't think that was one of my better sessions. So if she thought that was a great DM, that is amazing. I thank her so much because I've had better sessions than that. I was doing a play test of an adventure we're going to publish next year, and I'm not really. I don't know if I've ever done a play test. Play test, you do it differently than you're running a regular dungeon. You're trying to run it through the paces and find problems and issues and what works and doesn't work. So you're looking at different things than you would regularly running an adventure. So I'm really humbled that she said that about me, wonky, because I didn't think that was my best session. So she needs to really, maybe next year she can be in one of my games and I'll really be on point. I didn't feel like I was that on point. So. Tell her thanks. She's wonderful. That whole part. Well, the great thing about the group I ran, I knew every single person in the group, and I always loved that because it's like you have this instant rapport. You just boom, you go right in. You know everybody's names around the table. You're not stumbling over anything, and like what some of the people I've known a long time, so you can have a little fun during the adventure too because these are people you have inside jokes with, and you know their gaming style, and so it was fun. We had a blast.
Now, I kind of experienced a little bit of that myself this year because I was playtesting something that will be part of the next volume of Guts and Glory. So volume 2, sometime in 2025. But what Wonky was playtesting was His Heinous Harvest, which that's the one that's coming out with volume 1. And the difference in seeing him doing what was basically a final pass playtest on his adventure, where he's got everything tight. He just wants to make sure, it's basically a tech rehearsal, like the night before a play opens was what he was doing. And so everything was smooth. Everything was firing on all cylinders. He was very familiar with it. Whereas in my adventure, I felt like I was discovering new things that I had kind of buried or forgotten about in the writing process with the adventure that I was running. So it's interesting the stages of a play test that you can find yourself in, especially in a con environment.
Well, I noticed one thing right off the bat. We're about, 30 minutes, an hour in. I was like, man, this is really dragging. And the reason it was dragging was I didn't. So the adventure I wrote was in the style of the classic B1 in Search of the Unknown, where you add treasures and you add the monsters as you wish. And so most of the rooms are just a bare bones description. There may be a trap or items of interest, but there's really no encounters except for some of the main rooms. So I was skipping the encounters because I wanted them to play test the room itself and not have the monsters affect how they explore the room. And then I soon realized, though, that it was going to be boring if they didn't get in a lot of combat. I mean, I usually like to run into combat real quick. The first thing you step in the dungeon, I like to have something happen. Everybody grabs their weapons. Everybody knows what their 2 hit rolls are, that they get interested in the game immediately. They have stakes immediately. This one kind of, it's more of a mood piece. And so it kind of built tension. And then I realized at about the hour point, I don't need to build any more tension. We need to get down to brass tacks here and start killing some monsters, because I'm not going to say who, but a couple of people were kind of doing this thing like, I was like, I don't like that. So that was because I was trying to play test the rooms, and then at a certain point, about 2.5 hours in, after we had about an hour left, I said, look, I want to play test this adventure, so we're gonna skip to these 2 rooms at the end where all the cool crap happens. I mean, this is where the shit's gonna go down. So we're gonna skip there if you guys are okay with it, and that way I can play test how the rooms work. Because I absolutely thought it was gonna be a TPK because the party was only 2nd level. And they were cool with it. Like, yeah, let's do it. Let's jump ahead to the badass, kick-ass rooms. And to their credit, they did a great job. And they managed to bypass one room entirely, even though I tried so hard to kill him. I was trying. It was a room with a couple hundred carnivorous toads in it. And if you turned on, if you had a light or source or a torch, they were going to attack. And I kept saying, okay, so you guys turn your light on or get your light on. No light smells. Okay, so you light your torch. No, we're not going to light our torch. And so they were really smart, and they managed to sneak through that room without a TPK, which I give them thumbs up for. They were a very smart group. They lost a dog, a henchman or a hireling, and a one guy got knocked unconscious. But other than that, they survived the adventure. So I was very proud of them. They did a really good job, and they did help play test the rooms very well. I know what works and doesn't work now.
Mm-hmm. Wizard Tower Games here in chat wants to know what edition or what system was this.
So I have I guess a label with Tom Wilson. Many years ago, we're both a huge BX fans, and this is even before OSC. I mean, anything to do with BX, I love. And BX, for those who don't know, it was actually a very short-lived rule system. It was only, I believe there was only 5 adventures made with BX. I mean, it was X1 and then I think B1 through B4. That was it. And so it was only in that really short period, late 70s, early 80s, before Frank Menser rewrote the rule set. So, but it's a great set. It is so easy to run. You hardly ever have to look at the rule book. It's my favorite con rule set because it's just you pick it up immediately. There's no complications in it at all. So it's going to be for Basic Expert. We have a label called Basic Expert, and so we put out three adventures so far. They're all sequels to existing adventures. One is B 2.5. It's a sequel to Keep on the Borderlands. One is X 1.5. That's a sequel to Isle of Dread, and then last year we came out with B 4.5, which is a sequel to the classic Lost City. And the one I'm playtesting is B 1.5, which is a sequel to the classic In Search of the Unknown. So I'm doing a lot of that. Tom has been the main writer on the first 3 modules we published. And I'm going to take the lead this time because he's a busy man and I got to pull my weight eventually instead of being backup. And so I'm writing most of it and he's going to fill in the spaces. And for those who don't know, Tom Wilson, excellent writer, incredible writer. I mean, his stuff is just wonderful. And I tell you one thing, he is a great proofreader, editor, and layout guy. I mean, he does all that stuff. So I can't do any of that stuff. So that works out great that he does it all because I don't know what I'm doing. But yeah, so it's a Basic Expert. Any version of Basic Expert, OSE, Labyrinth Lord, the original BX, Dragon Slayer, anything written for BX, this will fit in perfectly. It would just seamlessly go in there.
Yeah, absolutely. So to kind of kick things off here, let's go around the horn and let's actually start with Erik. Tell us what all you got up to, what all you were involved in at the convention, and then we'll just go Erik, Bad Mike, and then I'll finish us out.
Okay. I mean, you mean besides trying to stay out of trouble?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Honestly, for the most part, when I go to conventions these days, I go to socialize. All right. I go to meet the viewers, meet the people that have been following the tavern since it was a blog and just a blog. So I review conventions pretty much as a meet and greet type of situation. But I was in Glenn Hallstrom's Gangbusters game with my wife, Rach. And Glenn runs a great game. I didn't realize that he likes sound effects, but he plays the sound effects on his tablet. He likes little physical props, including a fake mustache for one of the characters. Just shocked the crowd. And I've known Glenn for years. He's one of my closest friends, but we don't game together. We do every other Friday night. We have a live stream, and then I podcasted with Glenn for almost close to a decade. But it was really a wonderful experience to playing a game with Glenn. And on Sunday morning, I was in the Mike Stewart was running a podcast / YouTube seminar for folks to generally, ask questions about what it is, this thing that we do, and not just the realities of it, but some ideas on how to make it work for you. And I think it was actually very well done. I think Mike really. What the sad thing is, I love going to seminars. There was a seminar about the origin of dungeons run by Victor Raymond, and it was great. It was, but he had maybe I think he had over a dozen, maybe a dozen and a half people. I think with Mike that we probably saw 8 or 9 people. People don't go to seminars like I think they should, because this is where you get a lot of information in a short amount of time. And if it's a topic that interests you, it's a good time. Oh, and I spent a lot of time at the hotel bar.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Yep.
Just saying.
We did. So yeah, that typically was every last call game till the bar closed at 2. Pretty much everybody was in the bar. So
yeah. So, but no, for me it was a lot. It was a lot of socializing with a lot. And I'm going to just make a special remark about this year's North Texas. I made a couple of observations. A lot of first timers, a lot of people. It was their first time because they saw about it on Facebook with Gary Oliver, or from the Talking Crit with Bad Mike and I talking about it and having Gary on. People were psyched. I talked to a large number of people. It was their second con, their second year in a row. But also the atmosphere, which is always awesome, was such a family reunion type of atmosphere this year that a lot of people, even the most, and I'm not going to name anybody, but even some of the most curmudgeonly people in the OSR were like, does it feel special and different this year? And I'm like, yeah, actually it does. So,
would you say it was electric? Did it feel electric? Because I mean, that's what I
don't know if
I'm getting here.
It rates that it felt very chill.
Yeah,
and there's usually at a convention there is something that goes wrong. I think the only quasi emergency that Alex Kammer had an issue, and then Jeff D had a flat on late on Sunday, which all hands on deck. And God bless Jeff. Jeff's like, where else could I be? I was hanging out outside the bar, and he's like, "Good, Erik. Thank God you're here." I'm like, "Okay." And he goes, "Can you get in touch with Bad Mike or Gary?" And I figured, I don't have Gary's phone number, but I had Mike's. We played a little phone tag. We got Jeff taken care of. But that North Texas is my home away from home. I've been going since 2014, and right from the start, Rach decided we were coming back. And when your wife is all in, and she did more gaming than I did this week, by the way, and that's the truth. She did more gaming than I did, but again, I go to talk to people. I talk to like every vendor I could, because they're my friends, right? These are people that and you want. And I did I got to see how the wind's blowing. I was asking everybody how business was, and the amazing thing, truly amazing, was Wednesday night. Wednesday night, the pre-con Get It On, not officially a con day. You might have to add it, Mike, as a con day. I was talking with Gary, and there was over 300 badges picked up on Wednesday alone. Yeah. That tells you, at a con that sold 500 some odd badges, and 300 people were there on Wednesday. I think that says a lot about the convention. It really does. I tip my virtual hat to Gary and Mike and the rest of the crew.
Yeah, I mean, speaking for myself, I was there by 6 p.m. on Wednesday, so I was one of the 300 that picked up their badge on Wednesday.
There you go.
So the whole Wednesday idea, that was something Doug and I started because when we were first starting out, we wanted to get people interested in a small con nobody ever heard about. So we said, well, let's make Wednesday free. You just show up, and also for a long time we did not schedule board games. We were RPGs only, no war games, no miniatures, whatever. RPGs only. Now through the years, Gary and I have, and even Doug towards the end, Doug passed away a few years ago. We lightened up on that a little bit. But we always said Wednesday night you can play whatever you want. You want to play board games. I remember walking into the bar one night and Steve Winter is running a game of Knights of Camelot with Errol Otis playing in the game, which was awesome. And they had a full table there. That was a Wednesday night. So Wednesday night you can run whatever you want. You don't have to sign up for the con. We have people just show up just Wednesday night. They're local. They play and then they just don't even come to the rest of the con. They just hang out there Wednesday night. So it ended up being a really good marketing tool because, as Erik said, we're getting more than half of our attendees are in by Wednesday night. We had a lot of people this year that came in on a Tuesday, and they were hanging out Tuesday night. So Doug always had an idea that, man, wouldn't it be cool if like we started the convention on Monday? I'm like, no, it wouldn't be cool because I need my rest and I can't run away. I'm not doing a convention for a week, but he would have. Doug was full of energy. He would have done a whole week. A whole week of game would be nothing to him. So, so Wednesdays turned out to be a very popular marketing thing. Just having people in for free. Just say, look, you show up. If you like what you see, buy a ticket for the week. Come and hang out with us. Yep. And it works really good. We've got a lot of people that show up for Wednesday and then end up buying a ticket because they want to go all week long.
Sweet. Now, Mike, you mentioned your playtest that you ran. It didn't sound like you got involved in any other games, but what else were you up to?
First of all, one real quick thing I forgot. I have copies of my older modules here. Here's the format they look like. We do mono covers, just like the original, and we have old. We have Matthew Ray, who is an incredible OSR artist. We have blue maps, folks, just like the old days, and we have large print and a lot of stock art. Although we as the years go on, we've got more and more original art. I think the last one we did was all original art, but we started out with a lot of stock art. But yeah, it's just we absolutely aped the style of the old school D&D modules in these. I'm sorry, what was your question, Ron? I was pimping my stuff and I wasn't paying attention there. I was rolling off my own.
Just aside from the playtest that you ran, what else did you get up to?
So what I do is I have a vendor table there. Typically one of my grandkids runs the table, which is the case again this year. But I'm like Erik. I don't typically go to conventions to play games anymore. I just want to schmooze. And some of the best times I've had at conventions in the last 10 years, well, actually, some of the best times I've had have been with Erik. And Erik and I are working like Gary Con or Gamehole, and we just sit there and we're just talking the whole time. We have this running conversation, which is kind of how Talking Crit started. We said, you know what? People would pay to hear what we're saying because we are tearing it up right here. I mean, we were being rough on people. We're being mean. And so we said, we need to put this, man, this needs to go on YouTube. And that's why we decided to start Talking Crit. But we had one time during the con when Erik and I are sitting with James Radji, and it was awesome, man. We're just shooting the shit with James about heavy metal bands and Finland and conventions and just philosophy of gaming. It's great. It's just, those are the times I really remember even more than the games I play in. And I will usually run one game every North Texas. And typically it's B1 in Search of the Unknown, which is my absolute favorite module of all time. I've run it more than 100 times, maybe even more than that, probably maybe 150. But I usually run that every Thursday night. I stopped a couple of years ago. I can't remember why. But Gary said, you need to start running a game again. You really need to start running a game again because your game is very popular. People really like your game. And so that's why I decided to play test B 1.5 at this convention, which I think the name we're going with that is Underneath the Unknown is what's going to be called. It's the never before discovered third level of Quaz-Catan in Search of the Unknown. So it will be called B 1.5 Underneath the Unknown. But Yeah, and I get nervous about running a game, even though I really shouldn't. I've been doing this so long. So I like to have it Thursday night, get it out of the way, first night, the convention, boom, it's done. And then I can actually sit around and hang out and enjoy Friday and Saturday. And then sometimes Sunday too. So, mostly just sitting around talking to Eric, talking to, I mean, you say hi to people that you only see, 3-4 times a year? I mean, it's like that,
if you're lucky.
Your con friends. You have these friends that are basically con friends, and you really only see them when there's a con. And so, you got to make do with, with the time. So okay, I'm only going to see this person this weekend. I won't see him again until, I don't know, Gamehole Con or Reaper Con or Gary Con. So that's who you want to talk to, is those people. You want to hang out with them. And honestly, it sounds weird, but gaming takes up too much time. You're sitting there, you're in a room, sitting there just interacting with one group for 4 or 5 or 6 hours. I'd rather be out there running around and see what everybody else is doing, see what all the games are going, checking out the layout of this game, and then you just run into people the entire time. You're running into all these people, and then of course then you have your celebrity guests, like Jeff D or Alan Hammock or Zeb Cook, and you kind of want to. I mean, Eric can test this too. Some of the best times you have the con, you're all sitting down having a beer with Alan Hammock or Zeb Cook,
God.
and they start telling you a story, and you're like, holy crap. I mean, Zeb Cook is telling me Zeb Cook can tell some kick-ass stories. If you're ever at a convention with Zeb Cook, get a bunch of people and ask them to tell you the Rocky and Bullwinkle story, how he created the Rocky and Bullwinkle game. That is a Shaggy Dog story par excellence. It might be about 20 minutes long, but it is worth the price of admission. So yeah, I mean, that's mostly what I did. That, and I sat at the booth and talked to people. And it's great because you're sitting at the booth, you're in a central spot. Mm-hmm. So people walk up to you and go, "Hey, Bad Mike, I'm such and such. We've only never been on the internet before, but I've sold you something. Oh yeah, I know who you are. I know who you are." And so that helps me be seen. That helps give me a spot so I can be seen. So people are asking about, because I think this is weird, but my wife said people asked about me, which I find oddball. She's like, there were so many people at the booth come up and say, "Where's Bad Mike? I want to see Bad Mike." And so yeah, if I'm behind the booth, I get to talk to a lot of people and talk about games. And I had a blast. I always have a blast every North Texas. And I'm always sad to see it go. And I don't know if this is true with you too, Eric, but most cons I'm at, including North Texas, it just seems like there's so much buildup. There's a year of buildup, and it's over like that.
It's
and then you're just like
it's like Christmas. That's the whole thing, right? It's
it
like
really
Christmas.
is.
As a kid, you're like, oh, and then Christmas Eve where you get the crappy gifts, but you're still excited because the next morning you get the good gifts. All the toys.
You get cookies on New Year. Usually you get cookies on Christmas.
Yeah, I get to get clothes. That's what they're give clothes on Christmas Eve. But see, now, Mike, you point out, the whole advantage of being behind a vending table, and you're right. That was a great advantage for me to meet and greet a lot of what I call the taverners, people that follow the tavern. So I don't know if you noticed this, but I made my unofficial table the nice comfy chair outside the ladies' room in the hallway.
Oh, very smart.
Yes, that's where I would eat my breakfast.
I did see you there. I saw you there quite a bit. You're absolutely right. Yeah. Yes.
So people could, I didn't have a table, but it was a good central location for people to find me. And I'm going to just put this out there. If you're at a convention and you see Bad Mike, myself, or anybody else that you would want to talk to us. All right. First off, we don't bite. It's a very welcoming community. Now, we might not know your name. Okay. Especially if your badge is flipped over.
Yeah. Badges. Why do badges flip over all the time? Because you're like,
way,
hey, I can't see your name.
All right. So I figured out the secret and it works, but Glenn could do it, but I couldn't because I didn't have an extra. If you have 2 of those con badge straps, your badges have 3 little holes on top, and everybody puts their strap through the middle hole. But if you have 2 straps, you can put it on the 2 side holes, and your badge will no longer flip.
That's true.
I actually just realized that this con. Glenn Hauser went, I have an extra in my bag, and he went, and he's like, "Wow, you're right. It doesn't flip," because honestly, anybody you see on the screen right now, the 3 of us, You're going to see us at a convention, and you're going to come up to us, and you're going to go, Ryan, I love your show. I watch it all the time. And if your badge is flipped around, first off, we don't know who you are. But secondly, most of you have screen names, right?
Yep.
So, you know, we're going to look at you, and, you know, it could be John Smith, but John Smith could really be Slackosaurus or you know, or the Wonky. And we don't, if you are somebody who does frequent one of our channels, and a couple people did do this, like, hey, I'm Jeff. Oh, but online when I watch your videos, this is who I am. Like, oh, the Mighty Hob. Okay, now I got a face to put with it. So, and also realize that when you're coming to a con and you're saying hello, like, again, any of these, I'm going to say personalities in quotation marks, but people that you know from online or from like Jeff D or Alan Hammock or Diesel, you've met them once or twice. Yes, they want to talk to you and they're going to be happy to, but they might recognize your face, but they've probably met way too many people for that name to come up. We met last year. My name is, you know, Joe Smith. Just, we want to talk to you. This is why I go to conventions, right? That's really my highlight. So that's just ways to make it easy on you and make it easy on us. Because I've never turned away from anybody wanting to hang out for a few minutes, and unless I'm running to a game, and even then I'm willing to be late to the game unless I'm running it.
You know, the last couple of years, I've got I never thought this would happen to me category. And it wasn't a penthouse letter either. It was the fact that people now will come up and say, "Can I have my picture with you?" I'm like, why? But so I think it's cool. I guess it's kind of an ego thing a little bit, but I've had that of the last two cons a lot. Like, man, Bad Mike, I gotta have my picture with you, dude. Like, all right, let's do it. So, but I guess it makes sense because you know, I'm always fighting to have my picture with, I don't know, Kelsey, Dion, or Alan Hammock or something. So I guess it makes sense. So maybe we've gotten the big time now, Eric. The people want a picture of us. Maybe that
listen, I had a number of photos, you know, selfies and such, and you know, that was great. My favorite though was I watch you and Mike all the time with my mother, and she'll never believe that I actually met you.
Oh
so
boy!
He goes, "Can I take a picture of us together?" I'm like, "Of course." I mean, that was like one of my con highlights. I was like, "This is awesome."
Someone's watching Tenkar's Tavern with their mother.
Oh my god!
Listen, you know, next time you watch with your mother, log in on your mother's account because we could use more females in the algorithm just to balance.
I love that Tenkar boy. He is such a good boy, and that little Bad Mike. They are so. I just like to watch them just curse and drink and all the stuff they do. And
he got a Bad mouth.
I laugh when that Bad Mike pulls out that big giant whiskey bottle of his that I can't find right now and pours it in there. You know, so yeah. If your mom watches, look, we'll take whatever ratings we get. If your mom wants to click the subscribe and but we're fine with that. You know.
Now, Slycarius here in chat, who is someone that I've gotten a chance to actually game with at North Texas. Nice. We were in 2 games together this year.
Oh, wow.
He is recommending double-sided badges for next year.
I've seen those. I don't know if they were. I don't know. I'm not going to buck tradition. Who am I to buck tradition? Come on.
And then Jeffro Johnson in chat says NTRPG is the place to go. And B-Dub says that North Texas seems like the best con going right now. And I will tell you that both of those are correct.
Yeah.
So I am not going to toot our own horn that much. But so just a couple facts about the con. We cut it off at 500 people on purpose. That's what we do. We could have way more than that, but we don't want it to be a giant con. We want it to be something that Gary and I can run by ourselves with David, who is Doug Ray's son, and not have to hire anybody. Everybody's volunteers. We don't make any money. We don't collect salary. We've been told by people who know things that we need to collect a salary. You need to start paying yourself. We've never paid ourselves. We're not in this to make money or get rich. We just want to put on My biggest con days were in the 80s. When I started going to con, I think my first con was 1979 Comic Book Con. And I went to so many cons in the 80s, 90s. And I love that feel of a con of maybe 500 to 800 people. And you have a few like famous people. Like the first Comic Cons I ever went to, I walk in and the table right up there is George Perez. And for those know comics, this is back when he was doing X-Men. I'm sorry, New Teen Titans. I mean, he was a god to me. He did Avengers back in the day, and he's just sitting there. Nobody's there. I'm like, I guess I could just walk up and talk to the greatest comic artist that ever lived, and I just walk up to him and just start saying, I loved your Avengers stuff. It was awesome. One of those things. But it was great. And so I just started going to these comic cons because they always had this feel. Nowadays, a comic con is they're awful because you wait in line 800 people to pay $150 for them to sign your book. But back in the day, you could hand John Byrne a stack of books that big, and he just not only did he sign them all, he'd probably draw a picture for you at the end, and he'd tell you stories the whole time. Yep. And nowadays it's like next, boom, $100, next, boom, and that's I wanted the feel of our con to be the comic cons and the science fiction cons and the gay cons of the 80s, where you went there. Mm-hmm. There was a bunch of cool, famous people. You talked to people. You didn't pay for signatures. You just hung out with these guys, and that's what. And I think we've hit that sweet spot. I think that's what we are. We're not. I don't think we're the coolest kids on the block by any means, and we're definitely not going to be the biggest con, and we don't want to get that much bigger. But I think you go to our con, you're probably going to have a good time unless you actively try not to. You're going to have a great time. Mm-hmm. Now, let me ask you a question, Ryan. I don't know the answers. How many of North Texas cons have you been to, or NTX?
This was my third NTX. Okay. The first one was 2021. I had to skip 2022 because my daughter had just been born a couple months before, and she was too young for me to leave my wife alone with her. And then I came back in 2023, and then I was here this year. So this is my third North Texas. Mm-hmm. And
okay. Oh, cool. I knew you'd been last year, but I couldn't remember the first time you went. So I didn't know if there was more. Sometimes people surprise me, and I'll go, "Oh, how long have you been going to the con?" This is my 10th con. I'm like, oh my God, I don't remember this person. I didn't know you've been to 10 cons. And so I mean, I'm just always interested because sometimes people just pop in and I don't notice. I haven't noticed them, and then it turns out they've been there for years. I'm like, oh great, that shows you how much I know about anything. But that's cool. So you kind of know what's going on here. The lay of the land, so to speak. Wasn't your first rodeo this year.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean,
yeah, and I got so my con this year was very different than the previous two because I was in the past couple of years I've attended basically just as like the host of this show and someone who wanted a good convention, but this year's different for me because now I'm creating books. And so there's kind of a little bit more of an emphasis on the networking for me than, there wasn't the gaming. I ran 3 Nighthaven sessions in Adventurer Conqueror King system. And I did all of them. So it was Thursday and Friday was at 8 a.m. And my Saturday game was at 9 a.m. So I got an early start because I wanted to just have my afternoons free.
Did you have anybody actually show up for those games?
I did. I had full tables.
Right. Wow, good. Hey, that is a testament because at cons usually you don't go to bed till midnight or like me 2 a.m. when the bar closes, and so it's so. For con runners, it's been a well-known fact for decades that you never schedule an early Sunday game. Oh, because everybody is worn out by that time. Saturday night, they have a bacchanal because everybody's just drinking. It's the last night in. And when we first started running North Texas, we would schedule these early Sunday games, and literally no one would show up. Not even the person running the game. It would just be an empty room there. And so those are things you kind of learn. So I'm happily surprised that you had people that early. That's awesome, man. That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's impressive. My first North Texas, was 2014, and I had Rach and I don't know how many games we were in, probably like 10 over the course of 4 days. And Saturday night, we were supposed to be in the infamous Dallas RPG.
Oh boy.
And we get to the room, and then Michael Curtis is like, listen, I'm exhausted. How does everybody else feel? And around the table, LeBlanc and Rach and I and others are like, you were all feeling it. And I was doing 8 a.m. to midnight gaming, figuring, come on, that's 8 hours of sleep. No, it isn't. You don't get sleep. And then it's like, so Mike's like, maybe we'll just move this to the bar. And like, yeah. And then Sunday morning, it was supposed to be in one of Matt Finch's Swords and Wizardry games and Mythos Tower. And we were already in like 2 sessions because we were all in. And we saw Matt like halfway through his game session. He was on a break. He's like, Erik, great. Aren't you going to be in the game today? It's like, we just woke up. No, we got to get food. I can't. You learn. And I generally, my sweet spot would be to be in one game and to run one game.
Yeah.
I didn't get to run anything this year. I was going to run a session. I wasn't sure whether I wanted to run Shadow Dark, Swords and Wizardry Light, which is now going to be Blazing Sorcery Light, or a nice post-apocalypse type of game session that was going to be wacky and crazy, and the Attack of the Penosaurus just never wrote itself. So it just didn't happen. All right, Mike. Next year.
All right. Well, I'm waiting. I'm so excited. Well, I was going to say, one of the things that you learn, one of the rookie mistakes people make, they go to cons, is they schedule every session. Yes. I'm going to be in 2 games Thursday, and 2 games Friday, and 2 games Saturday, and then another game Sunday. And then about Saturday night rolls around, they're just like, I'm going to skip this one, and I'm going to I'm going to sleep late tomorrow. And I would always tell people, I know this. I would start out, if you wanted to schedule 2 games, do it on a Thursday or Friday, but I would go in 1 game only on Saturday, because there's probably going to be a lot of things you want to do, including going to the vendor hall, doing seminars. So always leave some space there. Do not schedule every session. It is such a rookie mistake, and I've seen people do it all the time. And just, that's usually the guy that nobody knows where they're at Saturday. Like, where's Bob? Oh, well, he was in all 3 of my games the other day, and he was in this 2 games. Oh, Bob's asleep. Yeah, Bob's asleep.
But fortunately, I did actually get to do a little bit of gaming this year, because I ended up in one of the Wonky's His Heinous Harvest games, and then just by keeping my schedule open, I was able to get in on Tom Knuth's Cthulhu game. That was Jersey Shore Cthulhu, and it was
nice.
He runs that every year. It's awesome. Yeah,
some of the most fun I've ever had in a game.
Yeah. Tom Canales is a great dude. We used to work together at Frog God quite a bit, and that's the 3rd year he's run that, and I've always just heard rave reviews about that game. So
it was incredible.
Good for you.
And then I got to play. Luau Lu is playtesting a game currently titled Movies Till Dawn, and so I got in on a session of that, and that was a blast as well.
Dude, that guy is talent, man. I mean, I love. I think Dare Luck Club is a vastly overlooked game. It is really, really good. If you want to play Stranger Things, but kid friendly, Dare Luck Club is awesome, and the rules work great. And I just don't hear people talking about it or playing it that much. I think it's a wonderful game. And Lou is an absolutely dynamic person in terms of he's very creative. He's very creative. He's a nice guy too. He's really, really nice guy.
Yep. And then for the first time, I don't typically hit the dealer room very hard at cons, just because you open that floodgate and then suddenly just money magically flies out of your wallet.
Yeah. And then you got to fly home with it. Yeah.
But this year I had some stuff that I was really looking for, and I was able to find all of it. And so I got myself a an AD&D first edition.
Oh, nice.
Player's handbook.
Easily
I got
covered,
the first edition monsters manual, and I also got Advanced Dungeons and Dragons Dungeon Master's Guide. And I was taking a look at this, and unfortunately, Jeffro, I can't find your name in this book.
Ooh.
So,
ow! Come on, man! Too soon. Well, no, maybe not too soon.
Some kind of
Actually,
that's burning.
Kind of oversight on their part, I'm sure. But
Wizard Tower Games had a question up here. I was trying to figure out an answer to it, and here I am. I didn't want to lose the question and go up too far, but I want to know what was the biggest hurdle when you first started the convention. I would say it was just getting people to show up, because you don't have any legitimacy at first. You're just a bunch of guys putting a game day together, so to speak. We used to do a lot of advertising at game stores, bookstores. We had little one sheets made up. We just put them everywhere. We'd go into any bookstore and ask if we could put them up, because we were just so, worried that the convention would come and nobody would show up. I know that sounds weird. Here we are, year 16, but year 1 or 2, we were year 1, we only had 55 people. So, and I think year 2, I believe we jumped to 85, which was amazing. But, we were just always worried that we'd have this thing and, nobody would show up. So that was the biggest hurdle. As long as you're, this is back, we started out in 2009 or so, but, social media is so much more part of our world right now that social media helps a lot of that. You just get online, you tell people about your con, and you have sites especially dedicated to talking about cons. So that was probably our biggest hurdle, but now we're way past that. We actually have to the point now where we do zero advertising, because we don't want to oversell. We sold out this year before April 15th, which was our site. We sold out before our actual game sign up date, which was a good problem to have, but it meant there was a lot of walk-ups this year too, because we'd already sold the tickets. So we're actually at the point now where we're trying to tone it down a little bit. Like, don't tell anybody about this convention. Don't say a word about it. I was on Mike and Liz's roll for or save for half.
Yep.
Yeah, great show. And I said, I don't know if I want this to come out, because you're going to direct people to our con, and we're already because we were sold out when the show went on. We're already sold out, but we do walk-ups. We pretty much don't turn anybody away.
Yeah.
You just can't pre-register is all you can. You can't pre-register for games, but yeah, you can still walk up.
And let's see, we got a super chat here, $2 super chat from Mercurius Elucius. I did meet the guys from Black Lodge Games. I spent a lot of time hanging out with them on Saturday, and they actually recorded, I believe, about an hour of footage with myself and the Wonky, which will be coming out in next few days or something like that. So be on the lookout for that over on their channel. Also, Gary Oliver is in the house.
Yeah, he's not going to let me come here by myself, because he knows I'm going to say something that's wrong, and he's going to have to.
You need a handler, Mike. You need a handler.
I pretty much do, but yeah, Gary is one half of this amazing team, and he's the half that actually does all the hard work. I just sit around and pat myself on the back and glad handle special guests. This is the man that gets all the nuts and bolts and numbers and handles all the tabletop events, signups, all that fun stuff. So yeah, Gary is an essential cog in this machine, and
you're the face. You are the face.
Mm-hmm.
He's the steak. I'm the sizzle. Let's put it that way. I'm just sizzling around back here, and he's getting all the hard work done.
Yeah, and Gary, now that you're here, let's talk about my business partner being a special guest, but not me. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, now Gary will tell you I handle all special guests, so you're gonna have to sweeten the pot a little bit, right? I mean, Wonky's already come across with his donation, and that's why he's been there. So, I haven't seen anything cross my. Not that would affect me, but I'm just saying I drink Maker's Mark. So if anybody, if you're interested, bottle of Maker's Mark goes a long way to. No, actually, Gary and I talked about something this year. We're going to have a new special guest. I don't know what you call it, designation next year because of the prevalence of streamers and YouTubers. And look, I go to all these conventions where I see these streamers that I have no effing clue who they are. I'm like, I don't know who this is. But there are a lot of really good old school OSR streams. This is one of them. And, you know, and some people have, Hobbs does a really good job, I think, with Hobbs and Friends. And so we're going to have a quote unquote, you know, media guest every con from here on out. Oh, the one we had this year was Jason Hobbs. Jason Hobbs stars this year. And next year, I can already announce this. It's going to be Glenn Hallstrom. We're gonna have Glenn Hallstrom as a special guest because he's a old man grognard. He does a great show. He's been around forever. I mean, God, the guy was doing a radio broadcast back when the Shadow was on.
He's not quite that old.
I don't know, but yeah. So you know, Ryan, I think we'll be able to work you in there eventually as our quote unquote media guest. And I don't know why you can't make that one of these days. So
well, and I do also publish role playing games now. So
oh, that's right, yeah. So you know, you got a double. You're on two fronts there. You got it both times. So.
And B-Dubs here in chat. Stay tuned for Wonky super kicking me through a barbershop window.
Yeah, Keelan. So now Keelan's been a guest. This is his second year, and Keelan was a guy who just showed up one day, straight out of Alaska, and so I'm talking to this guy. I'm like, dude, you came all the way from Alaska to our con. It just blew me away. I mean, that right there, that blows me away. And then just I saw his art, and then just to hear his ideas and see what a creative dude he is, I was like, man, this guy, you know, and we've been looking for younger guests, or I say younger than our age or our generation. You know, all the guys that Eric and I used to admire are all they're in their 70s. They're starting to turn 70. A lot of them have passed away the last few years. I mean, last year we lost Jim Ward, we lost Janelle Jaquays. And so our pool of old school guests is getting smaller and smaller, you know, of the OGs, the original, right, you know, old school guests. And so Doug and I had talked years ago, we need to start getting younger at this position. And so I've been looking for some good young guys that are into old school to have a special guest. One of them is Ben Barsh, Bill Barsh's son. But I met Keelan. I started talking to him. I was like, dude, this guy's an old soul. This guy, he's young, but he is old school. I mean, it's, you know, and so I had to ask Keelan. And like I said, he's just an incredible artist. His games are great. And so it has worked out great because everybody just love Keelan. I mean, he's absolutely a great guy. And, you know, like I said, I mean, maybe he'll outlive me. So, you know, somebody else will have to kick him out, you know, when he's 70. And that way I don't have to worry about all. So a real quick story is several years ago, we had we had Tim Kask, Jim Ward, and Frank Metzer at a convention, and they had all had operations that year. They were all in scooters. And so this is the one we had. This is before you came, Eric. This is at.
I'm just picturing because I've seen them in scooters.
This is This is the one year we had at the Holiday Inn, and I walk in and I see these scooters, these old men driving around. And I told Doug, we are not going to be ScooterCon. We are going to get younger because this is not going to be my future for 10 years and having 18 guys in scooters at our con. And that's when Doug said, well, let's just start finding some younger people then. And so I've made a concentrated effort in the last few years, and Keelan's one of those that I think I hit it out of the park by having him as a special guest because he's awesome. He's an awesome dude, and you know he's an old school guy at heart. He really is. I mean that's what he likes, and he doesn't have, you know. There's a lot of people that I take it back. There's not a lot of people, but there's people that try to tap into that OSR market by, you know, kind of like the meme where the guy, hey, fellow kids, what's up? You know, and they act like they, you know, I'm old school too, just like Thaco, baby, Thaco forever, you know. But there's people that are authentically old school, and Keelan's one of those guys. So,
right, and Wonky being there as a special guest, I've said this a million times on the show, that leads directly into he and I working together, and you know, forming the friendship and the brotherhood that he and I have now. And so like this is a direct result of this convention that you guys put on. So thank you for that.
Hey, that's awesome.
Real quick, is there something in chat here that I want to read? Oh, something that you guys mentioned earlier that I wanted to talk about a little bit. The approachability of guests at NTX is like second to none. I've made so many great connections just by going to this convention. And this year I even I had to wait. It felt like I was waiting in line at certain points. I had to find like a window of opportunity, but I did actually get to talk to Kelsey Dion for the first time.
Oh, she's
And
Is she not absolutely delightful as advertised? As delightful as you can ever imagine?
Yeah, she is. She is one of the nicest people I've ever had the
Mhm.
privilege of talking to. Like, honestly, just a very genuine, very kind person. Putting up with a lot of nonsense from me. So
I mean, she gives off this huge vibe, and you know, she's just happy to be here type of vibe.
Yeah.
And the ego is like tiny. I mean, you would think with her Kickstarter, $1.8 million, everybody's talking about her game. She's a guest at every freaking con. I asked her, I said, do you ever rest? You are going to exhaust yourself. But she just loves it. She just loves going to cons. She loves meeting people. She's absolutely genuine when it comes to her love of the game and I don't see any of that. I have looked and looked because I am a cynical dude, and I don't see any of that enthusiasm in her heart being faked. I mean, she is absolutely in love with old school gaming and the whole. And she was trained by James Mishler, who is for those who know, James Mishler is a huge Judges Guild guy, and that was her DM when she was growing up and working in a game store, and she knows. I mean, she name drops stuff. You know, she'll be talking about something, then she'll talk about Expedition to the Barrier Peaks. You know, oh yeah, I played that way. I mean, she doesn't have to pretend to talk about stuff she doesn't know. She knows this stuff backwards and forwards, and so she's an absolute delight to talk to. I love Henry. I'm so glad that she decided to come to our con last year, and I'm glad she came this year. I told her, I said, I know it sounds stupid, but I actually can't believe you're still coming to our con because, you know, she's a guest of honor at freaking Gen Con. I mean,
she is.
She's sponsored. She is sponsored to go to Gen Con. Am I sponsored to go to Gen Con? No. Eric, did you get your sponsorship in the mail from Gen Con this year?
No. I don't even get one from North Texas. I don't want to hear this shit.
And so, you know, and for all that, you could almost forgive her for being a little back padding, proud of herself. Nah, not like that at all. And
no, not at all.
And I'm so happy to see it. I'm glad she's remained genuine and just as cool as she was when I first met her a year ago. So,
yeah, and it really is just the friendly environment of North Texas that kind of facilitates these relationships that you can build and these conversations that you can have with even the special guests. Now, one thing that I wanted to talk to you guys about, because this was the first year I actually was able to be there for it. For the people who don't know, who've never been to an NTX, there is a special event. It's kind of the closing ceremony of the convention, even though it happens on the second to last day. The midnight auction.
Not an official event. Not an official event. It happens after midnight, so it just happens to happen at the hotel at the same time as the convention.
Wait. Now hold on a second. I'm just gonna throw this out there, Mike. For not an official event, you can get tickets for it.
Damn it, Gary! Oh, that's true. Gary sold. So when we started this, Doug would not refuse to acknowledge it because he said, "I'm not going to be connected to this tomfoolery." And so he refused to acknowledge it, and we had to it was like a secret event. You had to go around telling people. We even have some invitations. Remember the ones that Zach used to make up, Eric?
Oh my God!
We have these invitations.
The midnight auction and the seafood buffet. Yeah,
seafood buffet. Yeah. Oh no, seafood buffet and orgy. Remember, it was
all Well, I was trying to censor myself. I'm sorry, sir.
So that was an event that started years ago, and it's something I've always had in my mind to do. And I pitched it to Doug, and Gary can tell you, Doug is very much a traditionalist, and he pretty much would listen to your idea and then just I'll take that under advisement. It never happens. And to my surprise, he said, yeah, let's do that one. Yeah, it's what midnight auction is. What it started out as we would accumulate all this stuff in the warehouse that wasn't good enough for the regular auction. It wasn't even good enough for the silent auction. It was just kind of junk or weird items, kind of like stuff you'd find in your grandma's back closet. Just, what am I going to do with this? And you want to throw it out. It's worth like $1 and just, whatever. I saw it in a garage sale. And so I would just gather all this stuff together and kind of do this comedy routine where I'm selling all this stuff and then I always had this part of the auction I call it Satanic Panic, where I'd always sell like a copy of Rono Joffe's Mazes of Monsters and then a copy of the Tom Hanks, classic DVD Mazes of Monsters, and then and it was just junk. It was just, and there was always funny. And so the first year we started it, I ran it straight pretty much. My buddy Lloyd Metcalf helped me, the artist Lloyd Metcalf. And then halfway through the auction, I go behind a screen, I come out with these devil horns on, and I'm doing the Satanic Panic, which was selling off all these. Like I sold a copy of the Avalon Hill Witchcraft game, anything I could find that was. I had a bunch of copies of the old Chick Track, Dark Dungeons and stuff, and people were going nuts. And that 10 minutes was all that anybody remembered about the whole dungeon. I had a devil's horns and a cape on, and they were going nuts. I was like, okay, well, the next time let's do it a little longer. And so the next time I switched halfway through and I did half it, and people were going nuts. I'm like, all right, well, Satan's running this auction now. And so then I just came out with the devil horns and everybody went nuts. And so it just kind of evolved from there. Now, as time went on, it got more and more involved. Now we run skits and we have routines. And of course, after all these years we've been doing it, there's certain people we always pick on and make fun of. There's certain there's certain things that we do, all the time. One of the bits we have, we didn't do it this year. Last year was we find somebody's journal they left behind from the year before, and of course we embarrass the hell out of that person, but by just making up false entries and reading it, like, who does this belong to? I don't know who this is, and of course the first entry you read, you know exactly who it is, and then of course that person's the butt of your joke, the butt of the whole routine, but. It's kind of got out of control at this point. I think Gary needs to shut this down because it's it's way out of control. It has become its own monster, and it is now everybody. That's all they talk about when midnight starts approaching. They all go to the bar to get liquored up. Everybody gets just loaded, and then they roll in there at midnight, and then from midnight to 1. I envisioned it, and I think you guys. So your opinion on this? To me, it was the last blowout of the con. And I used to do a lot of sci-fi cons in the 80s, and they'd always have this thing, the last Saturday of the con, where everybody would dance. They'd have a dance, and I can't remember the name of it. It was a weird dance. People would dress up in costumes, and basically everybody would get drunk and get laid. I mean, it was just all the time. It was like letting off steam after the con, and you'd see Isaac Asimov, munching on some, the neck of some 25-year-old girl. I mean, it's just everybody was just going nuts there.
Not to cut off your flow here, but I actually met my wife at one of those events at a different convention. So
it works.
It does.
But so I kind of wanted that vibe where hey, we've gone through the convention, we've done all this. Everybody, let's have a couple of soda pops. Maybe with something in the soda pop, and then let's just have a good time. Let's just laugh and make fun of, and Satan makes fun of everybody, even himself most of the time too. And, nobody is safe from Satan's joking, and we make, and we even have, I'm always making, poor Zeb Cook comes. I don't know why he comes at this point, because I make fun of him every midnight auction. But the more famous you are, if you're in there, you're gonna get dragged dragged into the bus. And so, and sometimes the humor might go a little too far, but it's after midnight. There's no cameras allowed, so and then somehow my brother started wearing a Speedo, and now that's like a regular part of the routine. It was going to be a one shot, and now people. I told him, I said, this is your fault. When you die in your obituary, they're going to talk about the Speedo wearing at the guy that wore the Speedo at the midnight auction. And that's my brother has no shame and no pride. But no, we have a blast. And then it's, like I said, it's just kind of the last blowout before and we just have, everybody just laughs and has a good time. And, I'm glad I thought of it, because I did. I was the one who thought. I'm glad. But I have to. No, I want to thank Doug for that, because I asked Doug years later. I said, "Can I ask you, why did you let me do that? Because you never let me do anything." Because he didn't. He would poo-poo every suggestion Gary or I ever had about the con. Nope, I don't like it. We're gonna do it my way. And he said something that was really cool. He said, "You know what? I could tell when you were pitching it, you were so passionate and you want to do it so bad. I thought, what the hell?" And then he thought, well, and then also I thought I could totally disavow it because it's after midnight, and I'm not going to tell anybody it's part of the con. So if it crashes and burns, I'll just say I didn't have anything to do with it. But that was really cool that Doug took a chance on me doing that. And then of course, Erik can tell you this: when Doug was still with us, nobody would laugh. He would sit up on the stage with me, and he would be laughing so hard the whole time. Nobody laughed harder during the midnight auction than Doug. So I think he was glad that he had me do it also.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was a lot.
But yes, if you and I'm always surprised to this day how many people still miss the midnight auction because they're tired or they go to bed early. And it's really not to be missed. You really need to show up if you're gonna be at North Texas. Show up for the midnight auction.
Yeah, the midnight auction is kind of like Vegas. What happens at the midnight auction stays at the midnight auction.
Very much, yeah, very much so. We had one year. Ben Barsh was filming it for some reason, and about 5 minutes in, he put the camera down and turned it off. It got that over the top. He realized that was what he had in his hands was dynamite on par with the Watergate tapes, and like, I better not ever show this to anybody. Mm-hmm. It's evolved to that right now. We don't allow any filming. There's no filming allowed, and no recording devices.
Mm-hmm. I have an idea for a potential item at next year's auction. If you are open to donations or suggestions here,
hey, I'll take any suggestions. I don't know what I'm doing, so let's just keep rolling. Who knows?
With the with the crowd that typically shows up there, I don't know how well this would sell, but I could always auction off my my hair care routine. Just stick it in an envelope, and we can auction that item off. Although I think Ben's might be a little bit more desirable.
We already have the best hair in gaming with Ben, although you run a close second, Ryan, a close second. Ben just has youth on his side, but you have Wiley's skill on your side. And Ben's hair is often made fun of during the midnight auction, as you noticed.
Yes.
Matter of fact, we had a whole routine once where Ben accidentally, wink, wink, left behind his journal and his hair care products. And so they were all, of course, Ben is a big Disney fan, so all his hair products were Disney related to hair products.
Oh, God. Yeah.
Hey,
actually, we didn't do that this year.
No. So, I've talked to Gary about this, and I talked to a few other people. I kind of want to keep it fresh. I don't want to run the same routines every year. As you notice, Mr. Krabs was not here this year. We really missed Mr. Krabs.
Having worn the Mr. Krabs outfit for midnight auction, I did not miss Mr. Krabs not being there.
Well, but Mr. Kurt Gould has been Mr. Krabs the last couple of years and did a great job, but we did not have Mr. Krabs this year. So we kind of skip around. Maybe next year we'll go back to finding the journals and then and making fun of somebody. But we like to mix it up. If you have the same routines every year, it gets real stale,
Yeah.
And like we've done I've sold souls the last 3 years now, I think. And we may give that a rest coming up in the future. I mean, selling the souls is great because we have a red piece of paper and we sell a soul of somebody in the audience. And I think the piece of paper might cost us 3 cents. And we've had bids up to $500.
There was a full-on bidding war for Skeeter Green's soul this year.
So the more notorious the individual, the higher the bid is going. And I know for a fact people have bought souls and framed them and put them in their house. So yeah, that just shows you how dumb gamers are, that they'll pay hundreds of dollars for a piece of paper that says you own somebody's soul, or how ingenious I am to think of the bit to begin with.
I think it's a little bit of both there. A little bit of both.
It takes gullibility and ingenuity together. Mm-hmm. Yes,
that's right.
By the way, just let people know, it's not their real soul. It's
damn it! So I overpaid $5 for the JLN soul.
Oh yes, that was great. Yes, yeah, that was hilarious because that we couldn't push that one over $5, could we, Erik? We
No,
tried.
and I was just like, wow, it's a bargain. It's a little bit tarnished, but it's a bargain.
Yeah, it's a bargain at $5. And it was funny because I start all bids in the mid-auction at $1. And then we go from there. And I did, okay, JLN stole $1. And there's a few hands up. $5. Everybody's hand go down except for Eric's. I was like, all right, I think we figured up our value right here. Sold to that gentleman in the front row for $5. Oh, man.
Oh, God.
Yeah, we've had some pretty good bits over there. There was the bit we haven't done in a while I want to bring back. It's where Lloyd and I act out a game. And we did that a few times. We acted out a sex game once, which, I'm not proud of it, but it was a game of sexual positions. We get some of the most terrible stuff donated just now. And that's the thing, Ryan. It used to be just garbage we had laying around the no, people donate stuff for us now. They'll see a really stupid game or a toy somewhere, and they'll buy it for us going, man, I saw this in the store. You have to put this in the midnight auction now. So now we have, guess what? We have even more crap in the warehouse because people are now contributing.
Purpose has been defeated.
Yes, they're buying crap, so we'll have crap to auction at the midnight auction.
Mm-hmm.
But no, it's fun, and I have a blast doing it. And it is a good way to blow off steam that last night. And that's probably, honestly, that's probably my high point of the weekend is seeing all the happy faces out there. And of course, this year it was the 50th anniversary of D&D, so we had a better celebration than Watsy did, which was our salute to we had a salute to the 70s, complete with disco ball, disco dancers. Satan was even dressed. He had a giant afro and devil horns and. And he had chains, and it was wonderful. We I think we saluted the 70s properly. I think we showed the game and the decade a lot of respect with that routine.
Well, the decade doesn't get a lot of respect, but yes.
No, it doesn't. Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, the main thing you have to show for your decade is disco.
The only thing was missing was hearing the song "To the Hustle." Dun, dun, dun.
Dun, 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 dun. Well, we were going to do the hustle dance. Oh, and Wonky said, "Bad Mike and Lloyd acting a sex RPG." Hey, Ryan, you could have my badge next year. Well, one time so somebody donated a romance RPG, which they actually came out in the early 90s. There was a romance RPG meant for a wife and husband or two significant others to play, and it was written in RPG style, and it's out of print and extremely hard to find. So somebody donated a copy, and Lloyd and I felt obliged to act it out. It was the classic Shipmaster and Ship Scullery Maid. And so, and by the way, I was the Shipmaster and Lloyd was the Scullery Maid. So you can just let your imagination. You can let your imagination run wild, Eric, on that one. Although I think you were there to see it because you probably scrubbed it out of your brain until I just.
Yeah, I recall it. I don't want to recall it.
It's kind of hard to forget something like that.
Flashbacks like that, Mike, are not the highlights of my North Texas. Although
I'm sorry, yeah,
you get filed away for those lonely times when you were oh
God,
wow, oh why a lot of truth tonight in the show, Ryan. A lot of truths are coming out. Yeah, it's awesome.
About to turn to Mari Povich over here.
You are not the father of Bad Mike. No, yeah.
Thank God.
But no, it's always fun. Some years, even some celebrity guests will make appearances. So yeah, if you go to North Texas,
real quick, Ryan, I wanted to bring up something you said earlier, and then I got wax poetic about mid auction. The thing that you're talking about, the guests, that is an absolute deliberate thing that Doug and I did. We do not have VIGs at our convention. Mm-hmm. We do not have VIPs. We don't have green rooms. Everybody's equal, and we tell all the special guests all that we require of you is two things. You have to run 2 games or sessions, and you have to be available and all whatever. In other words, somebody walks up to you to sign something, you have to sign. I mean, you have to talk to people. We don't hide our guests behind any velvet ropes. Or I've been to cons. We've all been to cons where you don't see the big name guys because they're running private games or they're off doing the Matthew Mercers of the world. Nothing against Mercer, but I'm just saying when he goes to con, he doesn't chill out with you at the table. He is doing private games and he's getting, probably $100 a seat stuff. We don't do that. It is very much, you walk up, there's Errol Otis sitting next to you at a game. The guy running the game, Steve Winter. Afterwards, you walk out and you have lunch with Alan Hammock. That is very much a vibe in our con.
Well, I just meant that there are celebrity guests that sometimes make appearances at the midnight auction.
Oh, well, that happens too. Yeah, that's been known to happen also. If your definition of celebrity is very low, that's definitely it.
Well, and celebrities that weren't even listed for the con sometimes.
Yeah, surprise.
Oh yeah, well yeah. Last year, Satine and Jameson made a very surprise appearance at our con. I was shocked, and I thought they aged pretty badly last year. They didn't look good, Eric. They looked rough. They looked really rough last year. So yeah, we had a guest this year that nobody's ever heard of. I'm not going to say his name because I don't want to get Ryan totally demonetized and canceled. But he was a famous. He's the porn star in the 70s that may have not written D&D products that may or may not have actually been published. So. Like the infamous D4 Dick does the Demon Web Pits, and we've had some notorious. We've had people, and it's all for a good time. We'll do it, and we're winking at everybody, and nobody takes it badly, and we make fun of everybody, and so everybody realizes that's what's going to happen, and they all just kind of, it's very good spirited and good natured, and so. But yeah, we got the idea, like you said, Ryan. The sci-fi. They used to have these big blowout parties on Saturday night, and I used to remember those fondly. Like, oh, this is so cool, and I always wanted to do something like that. So it very much follows that. Now, I don't know if anybody's met their wife doing it like you have, but who knows what's happened after those midnight auctions, Eric? I don't know. I don't know.
It's like Vegas. I said it before.
Well. Guys, once again, thank you so much for coming on the show. We're running up against our time here, but and also thank you for a great convention. I got to talk with both of you guys a couple times while I was there. We actually put this together on Saturday night while I was there, so that was great to be able to facilitate that conversation, but also. Just as we close out here, one highlight of this year that you haven't mentioned yet. We'll each go around and say just one highlight that we have not talked about yet to close us out for this evening.
Eric?
Oh yeah. Throw the ball at me. Actually, for me, the highlight was the fact that we did live streams, including a whiskey tasting, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and even Saturday, and the response was great. I mean, it really. Listen, we didn't have certain special guests coming up behind us and dancing like Mike and I have had in the past. We didn't have Steve Marsh passing out some of the worst alcohol.
Oh my God! If anybody ever walks up to you with apple flavored tequila, run.
Oh,
opposite direction of. I don't care if you have to run across water to get to, Antarctica. Just run. Ugh.
So, again, for me, the highlight was literally meeting people at the con. People that there was their first time, people that I've seen for each of the 10 years I've gone. The amount of retired and active law enforcement. It's the safest con. Probably in the country. I was very impressed by that. But no, it's just my home away from home. I gotta say
that. I had two things real quick. I had not one but two grandkids there this year, and I like the fact it's turning into a family con. Eric, there's a lot of kids. A lot of the guys that originally started the con with 16 years ago, their kids now are old enough to come to the con, or they're young adults. And we saw a lot of people this year at the con that were children when the con first started. And they used to come when they were like this tall, and now they're taller than me. I love that. I think that is a continuation of, the con, even after we're long gone. These kids will remember coming when they were 5 or 6. And I grew up at the con. I like that. And then also, one of my favorite parts of the con is we have a Hall of Honor now, which we started 3 years ago. where we induct people into our Hall of Honor. These people that have helped out the con, that have gone above and beyond the Call of Duty to spread the word of the con. And we inducted 4 new members this year. And I just think that's cool that we have this thing now that celebrates the fact that we've been around 16 years, and we have people that have been to all these cons, or most of them, and they've done a lot of good work for the con. And I just think that's cool because they live on forever. We have a suit of armor that has little name tags on it, and every year we change those out, and that's displayed. I didn't know where they displayed it this year. I was looking for it. I couldn't find it. But that's always going to be at the con forever and ever and ever. It's like the Stanley Cup. Every year we're going to put new names on it, and eventually it's all going to be filled with names. But that's one of my favorite parts, is to be able to tell people, look, you've meant so much to the con that you are in our Hall of Honor now, and and we just really appreciate you doing so much for the con.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And then for me, the highlight, and here, I'll just take this time to pat myself on the back, but this was the first year where I was approached by someone just out on the con floor saying, hey, I really wanted to get into one of your games this year. I really enjoyed it last year. When are you running your games? And so just someone finally walking up to me and acknowledging my greatness as a DM now, just
that's awesome.
The fact that I had like that much of an impact on someone was really kind of humbling for me. So,
Wonky, you better watch this guy. Watch this guy. Yeah, his ego is going out of control. No, you're right, and that's always cool when somebody comes up to you and says, "Hey, I just wanted you to know I've gone for 8 years now, and this is my favorite con ever, and you and Gary do an incredible job." My wife was telling me when I wasn't at the booth, she was sitting there with my granddaughter part of the time. People would come up looking for me and just go on and on about how much they liked me, what a great guy I was, and how much they loved talking crit and this and that. And it's really appreciative, because we don't do this for money or anything. And we don't make any money. So, it's just, and we don't even really do it for recognition. I mean, we're just doing this to have fun and to have people actually come up and say, hey, hey, I love coming here. I love seeing Mike, and plus, then they say I'm a great guy. And I'm not even there to hear him say I'm a great guy.
I don't even say that.
No, I know nobody says that. I'm not sure if I believe my wife when she told me that, but I don't think she'd lie. I don't think she'd lie. So I think somebody must have really come up and said that. I don't know.
It wasn't so much, hey, where's Bad Mike? It was more, where's Bad Mike?
Owes me money. Where is he? No.
I want a silent auction. I want my stuff. Where's Bad Mike?
Oh yeah. Well, I had to deal with that a lot too. Yes. Oh, by the way, we I forgot the other highlight was the Easley. Did you see the Easley painting, Ryan?
I did not get to see the Easley painting.
My God! So he paints a painting. Jeff Easley, the guy that did the covers of all your hardcovers you just showed us. Mm-hmm. He does a painting for us every year. We split the money with him and auction it off. It went for over $6,000 this year. It was absolutely incredible. He just does. The man has more talent in his little toe than everybody here has in their whole bodies. It's just amazing that he can whip something like that out in a week or two. So that I like being able to do that every year, because I like when I tell people we auction original Easley painting every year, it blows their mind. They can't even. They're like, what do you mean? How much do you pay him? We don't pay him anything. He just does it because he likes our con and we're friends. And so, yep. So that was cool too. That was awesome.
It is. Well, guys, thank you so much for coming on again. At some point I'll need to have you guys back on, and we can do a show. I don't know, talking about someone doing something stupid in RPG world. But
we could have you on Talking Crit, and we could bang on WotC for 2 hours, like we've been doing the past year or so, because they've given us so much material. They've given us so much.
It writes itself. Mike and I don't prepare.
Oh, every week. No, we don't have to prepare. We just get up in the morning, read End World an hour before, and then find out what stupid thing they've done this week, and then okay, we got today's show. Boom.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so you guys can find Talking Crit live on it's Wednesday nights, correct?
Yep.
Yes.
Wednesday nights over on the Tenkar's Tavern channel. And then I know we just got back, and most of us are still catching up on sleep. But I'm already excited for North Texas 2025.
Always, man.
Hey, we
Always.
are too. Gary and I talked for 2 hours today about things we're going to change. Some things we're going to change for the better, and just different things we're going to do. And so, yeah, we're all in already. We're ready to go right now. So that's awesome.
Sweet. All right, well, guys, that's going to do it for Rollin Bones this evening. Next week, Ian McGarty will be back here on Rollin Bones to talk about his latest Kickstarter project.
Ian, oh God, no, great guy. We love that guy.
We love Ian. Yeah, we love Ian around here. And then the week after that, of course, we will be wrapping up the month of June with another appearance by the Wonky here, talking all about game design. Another edition of Get in the Ring that'll be happening at the end of this month. I'm already getting stuff set up for July as well, so we've got a lot of cool things coming. But until then, whether you rolled a 1 or a 20, I'm so glad that you rolled your bones with me, Ryan Howard, and I will see you guys next time.
Later, folks.